now listening to The Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three relatively grown men binge the iconic HBO series Sex and the City. So dust off those DVDs and grab yourself a white wine or even a Cosmopolitan and settle in. Take it away, boys.
Let freedom ring, guys.
Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys, a podcast where three guys watch their way through Sex and the City for the first time ever, mostly. Hi, I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
My name is John Sieber.
And our guest is Felicia Pollack.
Welcome,
Hi.
Felicia.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having
We're
me.
very excited for you to be here.
I'm really excited to be here.
We're really excited for you to be here. We all have to say it. Kevin, say it.
Hi, Felicia.
Hi.
Was that a thing for a while?
It's always a thing.
It's always a thing.
I
When
did
did it become a thing?
I don't know. I remember at work a few years ago, my coworker was talking about someone she didn't like, and she said, "Ugh, bye, Felicia." And I legitimately thought she was saying goodbye to me, so I turned around and I was like, "Oh, bye." And everyone was like, "What's wrong with you?" And now it's like I've embraced it. It's like my Instagram handle now. You know,
Nice.
You have
That's
to own
great.
it, I think.
What's your Instagram handle?
By Felicia Pollack. You can follow me on Instagram.
Everyone
See?
check her out.
There you go.
Usually we plug those at the end, but
Oh,
that's
okay.
no.
I'll
I'd
remind
say
you at the end. To
You're a
follow me.
social forward person.
I'm going to feel very out of touch, but where is By Felicia from?
from Friday, written by Ice Cube.
Yes.
That's the official title of that movie. It's like Precious, basically
I was just
based on the
thinking.
novel.
So
Push
that's
by
been around
Sapphire?
for-
By Sapphire,
Friday, by
yeah.
Ice Cube.
That's been around for a long time then, because
Yeah.
Friday is not a new movie.
It's like 23 years old.
Yeah, I think it blew up. I don't know, like 2 years ago. As just like an internet thing,
Okay.
like re-entered the normal. I don't know. That's why. When did you start feeling it? 2 years ago?
About 4.
4?
Yeah.
She was also named Felicia, so she probably heard it a lot
The
more.
her
than us.
whole life.
Yeah, I've heard it for quite some
My
time.
grandma always said it when I would leave her house, and like my parents when I would go over to school.
They were pioneers.
I sounded like I was going through puberty then.
You okay?
I am going through
You're
puberty.
going to start getting hair in some really weird places.
Wait, what else happens, John?
Just go with it.
That would be great if that's how you told your son. Shh, just go with it.
Just let it happen.
Okay, Dad. Felicia, we're really excited to have you on, but could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to our Sex and the City podcast and why you're going to be a fantastic guest?
Okay. Well, a friend of mine randomly knows you, Cory.
That is true.
And she texted me and was like, I know this guy, he has a podcast about watching Sex and the City and he needs a guest. And I recommended you because I am a Sex and the City connoisseur.
And can you tell us what our friend who used to, I think I can say this, our friend who used to work very closely with Cynthia Nixon.
You could say that.
Okay. I just did.
Yeah.
So we're just going to leave it at that.
Yes.
What did she do?
She knows Cynthia Nixon. She worked for a publicity agency.
Yes. She
Yes.
was Cynthia's
Oh, okay.
publicist.
Yeah, she's Cynthia's
Nice.
publicist. And I saw her at a Cynthia event. We had worked together on a TV show years ago, but she had told me that you're a Sex and the City connoisseur because you used to host a Sex and the City trivia show.
I would host Sex and the City trivia at various bars around New York City. Yes.
Wow.
What was that like, hosting Sex and the City trivia? Because I've only done trivia like a few times, and it's always like random. It's always bar trivia. It's always like random sports and music things. I've never done like themed trivia before.
Yeah,
What were
I
the
mean,
crowds
I
like?
didn't always do Sex and the City. I did other things, but that was like my niche. Mainly, I was just frustrated because no one seemed to know anything about it as much as I did, and I would get annoyed with people like, "Why are you here? You don't know anything." And then someone would think that they knew something and try to argue with me, and I'd be like, "This is not a democracy. I am correct."
Were you ever wrong? Did anyone ever successfully argue something that you were defending where you were
No.
wrong? No, never?
No.
Wow.
How many times?
Undefeated.
How many times have you seen the show, the series?
Oh, countless.
Okay.
Like I can see a screenshot, or I used to be able to see like a screenshot, and just based on like the outfit, I'd be like, "Oh, that's
that's so
season 3, episode 5, or something like that."
Wow.
I've kind of lost that, Rain Man-esque quality of it, but I'm still very much.
Do you have a favorite? Because we're today season 2, episode 4 or 5.
Season 2, episode 4 is today. Yeah.
So we've been told by a lot of people, especially at the end of season 1, that we're in for some real treats. Do you have like a favorite? And you don't have to describe them, but like a favorite few episodes and like what season and episode they are, if you remember.
Sure. We were just talking about this before. I would
Because
say,
I bet some of the listeners will be like, "Oh my gosh, that one's so good."
Yeah.
And we don't know.
I mean, where we are right now in the second season, it's still trying to find itself. You can see it's working its way there. My particular favorite seasons are seasons 4, the Aiden years.
We've heard a lot about Aiden, and I feel so when we started this podcast, people who listen to it have heard it before, but Kevin had never seen any episodes. John had seen a few, and I had seen a few, and I think I've seen an Aiden episode. And what I remember, and I know this from one of our past guests, Shanae Alexander, I think Aiden was a furniture designer.
He was a furniture
He's
designer.
very handsome.
John Corbett.
There we go. John Corbett.
That's the actor?
That's who, yeah. So yeah, I would say season 4, and then the first half of season 6.
Wow.
Season 6 is divided into 2. It's 6A and 6B.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So
What about the movies? What are your
I don't
thoughts on the movies?
consider the second movie
That's not
Canon?
canon. No, that
Interesting.
movie is an abortion, and I refuse to talk about it. The first movie is wonderful.
This is, I find so, like, I guess we're so spoiled now to be able to get whatever you want out of like a piece of art. Like it used to be, it's like, oh, there's a movie or there's a TV show, and then it's like, oh, that was nice. And now it's like something finishes, and then it's like, when is there going to be more? And I feel like when they rebooted Arrested Development, everyone was so excited, and then it was like, oh, I guess we really liked it. And then Sex and the City, it's like, did you guys push it? Everyone's like, we got to have a 3. And it's like, I don't know, maybe you just didn't need the second movie.
I agree with you.
It's the whole thing about like British television, how it seems like they do it better, where they're like 6 episode seasons. They usually do 2 to 3 seasons, and maybe they do a Christmas special.
Well, yeah. In the end of when I first watched House of Cards, it got to season 3, and season 3 was so not good.
Awful.
And it's based on a British show, and it ends at the end of season 2. So in House of Cards, the former actor, Kevin Spacey, he like pounds the desk, he becomes president, he wins. And
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, come on.
From
the
me
end
as well.
of season 2 of House of Cards?
I've only
Never
made it
seen
through
it.
half of season 1.
Yeah.
I don't support people like that, Kevin.
Well, never have.
I never have.
Never will. But it was
I turn off K-Pax in the middle of it. Anyway, go ahead.
But it was like so obvious. There was like, oh, you guys didn't know when to stop. But I guess like also there are instances. I'm glad there's like 150 episodes of Seinfeld.
Well, I was just about to
I'm
say,
glad there-
Seinfeld went out on top. Like, you always want to leave a party while you're still having a good time.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like 30 Rock did the same.
Agree.
And I'm a big 30 Rock fan.
So am I.
But I feel like 30 Rock stayed pretty consistent. And like I loved the American Office, and even though I love the British one, I love the American, but I dipped out like in the last, like second to last season, and I did the same in Parks and Rec. I was like, all right. But 30 Rock, I feel like stayed strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
What would you say is the most egregious part? Like what besides it just being generally bad, which we're prepared for in 2 years when we watch it, but why is it so bad? Like, is there 2 or 3 specific things that's like this, like as a critic?
I don't know if you guys are going to go see the second movie. I don't want to give away any plot points, but I mean, it's called Sex and the City. The city is New
and
York.
they're in Morocco, right?
They're in Abu Dhabi. Well, they filmed it in Morocco, but it's supposed to
It's
be
set.
Abu Dhabi. And you're taking them out of this basic element that makes the show so
Right.
great. Like this, people say like Sex and the city is the 5th character.
Yeah.
So you remove that main element, it's like, what the fuck are we doing? Can I curse?
Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. It's so funny watching, like when you don't know the ingredients of why something is good, and you're just like, why do people like the show? They love the women, and they probably didn't even know that they made that mistake until like people started watching it, or like, what the fuck? And they're like, oh yeah, like they got so used to thinking they knew why people loved it, and then they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna keep whittling down to where like the second movie, the character of the city was gone. The third movie, Kim Cattrall will be gone. The fourth movie, they're gonna kill off Miranda. At the end, the end is just watching Carrie meditate for 2.5 hours.
Just like
And then at the end,
She's gonna
someone just
receive
goes,
superpowers.
yeah, and
just-
someone goes, was that it? And Big comes in and just goes,
Absolutely.
We're just
and
gonna
then
be
it goes to
like-
black.
Or like Carrie with the snow globe, and like
That's
the
what it
city
is.
was in the snow globe the entire time. That's a St. Elsewhere reference for you people.
For some reason, I was thinking it was an Orson Welles reference of
Rosebud.
Of Rosebud.
Rosebud Manolo Bud. Whoa. Spoiler alert.
Hey, listen, if you're gonna do it to House of Cards,
I mean, this movie's been around since 1941.
It's a
ship-
sled.
The ship has sailed.
the sled has sailed.
Yes.
But how did you, real quick, before we go watch the episode, one, how did you like first see Sex and the City, and two, did it influence you in moving to New York? Because you've been in New York for a little while.
I'm actually born and bred New Yorker.
Get outta here.
I was born and raised in Brooklyn.
So you were especially mad when it's like, what are they doing in Abu Dhabi?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just real quick, when I was like 13, maybe a little younger, maybe like 12, the show was still on, airing every Sunday on HBO, and they would replay episodes throughout the week. And there was a time where my parents would drive into the city every other night to pick up my brother from school, and I would be left alone. And I discovered it home alone, channel surfing. And I was, 12 or 13. I was like, they're cursing, they're naked, they're having sex. And I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I was a little pervert. And I would like wait for them to leave, and I'd DVR it or whatever, and I came in on like, I think that's why I love the fourth season so much, because that's how I discovered it. I discovered it in the fourth season, had to go back, to watch it chronologically. And it was like my own like little secret, like no one knows I'm watching this.
Yeah.
And then I finally came clean to my mom, and I was so scared. I was like, I've been watching Sex and the City while you're gone. And she was like, okay. And then we like watched it together every Sunday night, and that was like our show.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So, and I went back and I watched it from the beginning. For my 16th birthday, I got the whole box series in the pink suede box, which I still have. I have coffee table books and
Wow.
I think there is kind of a theme of the way that people have found the show of like, it's a secret. And then they like found their other group of people that like know about it. So
I
it
had
is
a
like,
shirt that said, I'm a Carrie. And a tank top that I bought that said, I love sex, and then very little letters, and the city. And my mom let me wear it. I don't know what she was thinking.
I think it's probably because like you probably thought it was so bad to watch, but meanwhile, growing up in New York, you had Manhattan Neighborhood Network, which just played Robin Bird and like, do you guys know what that is?
No.
No.
You don't know what that is?
No, Manhattan Neighborhood Network?
Manhattan Neighborhood Network. It's
Careful of spoilers.
It's true. It's cable access after midnight on Manhattan cable stations, and anyone can do
Well, I'm
anything.
from Brooklyn. That's why I didn't know.
Oh, maybe that's true. I guess it maybe didn't play in Brooklyn. I saw it when I first came to visit the city in 1999. We were like staying with a guy that lived at that went to NYU, and he was flipping through the channels, and there was just this like weird, very low produced pornography.
Oh my God.
And we were like, what is this? And he was like, it's local TV. You can do anything
can't
you want
censor
after
'em, yeah.
midnight. They can't censor
you
them. And so you can't censor up to a point, I guess. And there's a woman named Robin Bird who used to host this call-in show, who's this like, she's been around since like the 80s or something like that. But I guess
I'll have to look this up.
I'm the only one that knows about that.
We got to get her on the podcast.
We got to get Robin Bird on the podcast.
I think you should.
Robin, if
I
you're
think she's
listening,
I think she's maybe in her late 60s, early 70s or something.
That's great. Fantastic.
Maybe she's not that old.
So
we should get her on the podcast.
We need to move to go watch the episode, but before we go, could you drop a medium strength trivia question that we'll answer when we come back?
Medium strength trivia question.
Yeah, like not super hard, not easy, but like something that will make our
Only up
listeners really
for the
have to-
episode that you guys have watched, or
No, I think
it
just
could be for the
overall.
whole show.
I'm gonna see if any of the listeners can think of the trivia during the interlude.
One of my favorite questions that I like to ask, and this might be hard, but is what is the bus line that has Carrie's ad on it?
M51.
No.
Don't
Sorry.
Don't say
Oh,
it.
sorry, it wasn't for the.
It's not the
supposed to be
M51. It's for the listeners.
Anyway, we'll hear the answer when we come back.
And it's not the M51.
It's not
So
the
that's
M51.
your hint. Thanks, Cory.
Phone a friend.
Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go watch the show.
Episode 16. They shoot single people, don't they? Single and fabulous Carrie gets a horrible photo taken for the cover story of New York Magazine. Single and fabulous ? Miranda fakes orgasms with her current boyfriend, and Charlotte starts dating her handyman. Samantha dates a club owner and is befuddled when he starts calling them a we right away. And now, back to the boys.
Welcome back, everybody.
Wow.
How many of you out there went and watched the episode? We hope you're doing that with us. You stop it, you watch it, you come back, and you just have that conversation with us.
Every
And-
time you listen to this podcast, when it comes to when the lovely voice comes in and reads the description, I hope you pause it. I hope you walk up to your boss and you say, hey, I'm taking 30. No, I'll take 22.
Yeah, like 22.
I'll take like 22. You turn on Amazon Prime or HBO Go, you watch the episode, and when he comes back and your boss says something to you, you throw a drink in his face.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or you go to the bathroom, you do one of those like work bathroom breaks. You could just come back and be like, oh, I didn't feel very well. Meanwhile, you were just watching Sex and the City in the stall.
It's easy, guys. It's really easy. We planned it all out for you, but I want to hear the answer to the trivia question.
So
Yes.
no one, I have to remember to put an Instagram up, but go on our Instagram now and put your guess as to what the bus line is in there, and then you can say whether you got it right or wrong or something like that. Does it make sense?
You can just, we can be honest about it. It's a
Be-
game of integrity.
A game of integrity. We have integrity. Our listeners, we know, have integrity.
Some of the most
Some of the most
integrituous
Sure.
listeners
Those are
we
words.
have.
some of the biggest integers listen to our podcast. So listen, hit
Such
pause.
as 111.
That's right.
And 246.
That's right, both of those.
Okay.
Hit pause. Answer Felicia's trivia question. And now that you have unpaused it, let's talk about the episode.
What is the bus line?
The bus line is M2.
Oh.
The M2 that goes right down 5th.
Right down.
Wow.
Fifth
How
Ave.
many of you got M2? How many of you are just listening and being like, quit telling me what to
talk
do?
about the
Yeah.
Just talk
episode.
about the episode
I'm
already.
my own boss.
Yeah.
Okay, I run my own business. I can't be taking 22-minute breaks all the time.
They
Hey.
they shoot single people, don't they? That was
They do.
I don't know if it's because we haven't recorded in a little bit and we're back, but man, that was a good episode.
That was a
It was
fantastic
Yeah, it's
a
a
really,
good
really
one.
great episode.
And you watched it last night prior to seeing this again.
I watched it when I
With
got
us.
home from work last night just to refresh.
That's awesome.
How does this rank in season 2 episodes?
I think it's one of the better ones.
Okay.
Season 2 is not one of my favorites. It's
Sure.
still finding its footing,
Yeah.
but you can sense in this one that there is great writing and there are
Mhm.
great character arcs. And,
Yeah.
but still humorous. So this is a solid episode.
Very solid.
Yeah.
I
Before
really
we get
liked it a
into
lot.
it, I don't know if you can, John, because it's so dense. Could you quickly give us a rundown of just what's going on?
Yeah,
Just
Yeah,
for the listeners that didn't hit pause.
of course.
John's gonna tell
So
you.
there's going to be the summary, but I would say the essence of that episode was is it better to fake something than to be alone? And I had a better kind of way of saying it out there. But everyone was wrestling with faking one thing or another, or getting faked, or having the double fakes to avoid either being alone, or what were some of the other ones? I mean, everyone was
Faking an orgasm,
Miranda was
faking an orgasm,
Faking
Faking-
relationship.
faking wanting to be in New York when
Right.
you're just tired of being here.
Yeah.
And I guess the Carrie asked the question: when did being alone become the same as being a modern day leper? Like, why is being alone such a horrible thing? And the trajectory of the episode, they're out having fun, being single, and by the end of the episode, she kind of they all fake something to make themselves feel better about being alone. In the end, she kind of just sits in herself being alone
And
out at
The
lunch.
inciting incident being that they stayed out too late, and then she went to get could be on the cover of New York Magazine, and they said it was just going to be a sample shot, but really she had no makeup on. She looked
Right.
horrible, and then that ended up being on
Yeah,
news.
she was
This
supposed to be one of
upsets
the-
me so much, which I can get into after.
Okay.
Yeah, let's
let's get into it. She was going to be one of the most featured single people, kind of like how Time Out New York, the magazine in New York City, does the undateables or like the
Right, which is
featured
like
singles.
a fantastic segment in that
Mhm.
magazine.
Yeah, totally. And then she ends up being on the cover, all haggard, looking from staying out all night.
But just from a personal, I'm a publicist, and there's so many things wrong with this situation that
Yeah.
would never ever happen in real life. And this is the one thing about the episode that really drives me crazy.
Because all of that would have been checked. Like,
All of that would, and what annoys me is there a point where Carrie says, like, I have to go home, I'm having a picture taken tomorrow, and Miranda goes, well, all press has to be cleared through me. Like, bitch, you're a lawyer. All press should be cleared through Samantha, who's
Right.
actually a publicist.
That's true. Or
But-
Carrie's editor where she works.
Well, Well,
I don't know.
Carrie
That's-
works for the
that's-
New York Star, so she doesn't. They wouldn't.
Totally off the subject.
It's based on the Observer.
But it's
It's
not a
basically-
real paper. Was it named that because of Darren Star?
Oh,
That's a very astute observation.
Why? Thank you.
Um,
It's possible.
but also,
I'll take that.
I'll take that.
sure. But also, Stanford's boyfriend at the time, who worked at the magazine, which is how Carrie got featured, was like, I had nothing to do with the cover, but he's the photo editor, so he had everything to
I
do
would
with
be
the cover.
so mad
That
at
guy was the
Stanford
worst.
if I were
Yeah.
Carrie. Like he really threw her under the bus,
did.
and then was just like, "Oh,
Also-
you're fine."
Also, she was I think in total an hour late, which is not professional. But like
But again, as a publicist, people are hours late
people are
all
late
the fucking
all the
time.
Axl Rose made a career out of it.
Yes.
Everybody, but you're like people are late for normal circumstances, and an hour's like not the worst, especially if they had to shoot 20 other people. Like they would throw their schedule off. But come on, that's not crazy.
Okay, I'm gonna push back
Oh,
on what you said and say don't you think there are a lot of modern examples of like you go in thinking it's like a good piece and then people get like screwed over in the piece? Like if the gist of what happened, maybe the specifics of like an hour or someone would have checked. But I feel like there's like lots of times where you think like earlier in the year they did like with Donald Glover had like a big New Yorker piece, and then there's all this debate about whether like he let the person in too much and then he like was made to look like a huge asshole, or was he a huge asshole? And I bet when they started it they were like, oh, this is going to be a fawning New Yorker piece on Donald Glover, and it ended up making him look crazy.
No, totally. I mean, I don't know if everyone's seen that Johnny Depp profile in Rolling Stone. That's like
No.
So basically, like Johnny Depp really quick wanted to have like a story about his finances or whatever that's supposed to make him seem like he's this Hollywood crusader, and like the piece is a disaster, and it just makes him look crazy, and now no one wants to work with him. It's like as of a couple days ago or something.
No, haven't seen it yet.
But there's a point in the episode where like, well, we can't sue them. Carrie could have absolutely sued for like libel or something. And like Samantha as a publicist should have been on the set with her and just think, well, what kind of feature is this, and who else are you featured? Like,
yeah.
She says like they said it was single and fabulous ! Instead of single and fabulous ? Which means she had to have something in writing telling her what.
Yeah.
Kevin, are you saying that when they first hired Carrie to do the piece, it was supposed to be about single and fabulous, and then since she came up so haggard looking that they pivoted?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking it seemed on the outside, maybe not the ins and the outs of it, because I'm not a publicist and I need one, so I'd love to hire you. Okay. You seem like you'd be great. But
Thank you.
But that it seems like there's lots. It seems like a common thing that you think you get this awesome piece and then it turns out horribly. Like you said with that Johnny Depp
that
thing.
happens all the time. But when it's something as big as like a cover, there's much more push-pull negotiation that goes. You don't just like show up and like, oh, I'm going to be on the cover. Like,
Yeah.
Also, they didn't tell her she was going to be on the cover. It was a
Exactly.
total surprise. So it seems like it would be like, by the way, you're going to be our cover piece.
Yes.
Also, she said there's going to be time for makeup, right? And they were like, yeah. And then maybe they did makeup, but they didn't use the
Exactly.
makeup pictures.
That's
It sounds like
it's a bait and switch.
You guys are making a lot of excuses for someone that stayed out too late and showed up. She deserved. No, I'm kidding. I obviously I think she got screwed and everything. It's just.
I think this is a whole thing where you thought Donald Glover deserved to go down. Also,
That's why we started the podcast, just so we can bring it full
just
circle.
So we can bring one of the most talented people down.
Can we talk for a little bit about Miranda's power walking techniques?
Oh my gosh! So there's a scene where they're all walking around the New York City Reservoir. Is that what that's called? The Jackie Onassis Reservoir?
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's on the Upper West Side. It's in
like
Central
around
Park.
Right in Central Park.
Kinda
It's that
in the 90s.
huge body of water right in the middle.
If you ever fly
Yeah.
over the city, like when you're coming in or coming out to land, you see it right in the middle of Central Park. It's like a massive lake.
Yeah.
I think just around to go around it once is like 2 miles.
Wow.
I think it's a mile.
Yeah.
It's like a mile and a
Big.
quarter or something like that.
I was always saying it was 2 miles. I've been lying for years.
I'm going to put you on the cover of Runner's World saying that.
I know.
But
I go
make
around
sure
and be like,
you're actually going to be on the cover and like the whole scope of the piece, and don't get screwed. I'll go with you.
yeah. Felicia, double check all this. Thank you.
But yeah, they're walking around. When in the episode where they walk in, so they go out to this salsa club, they stay out all night, Which, by the
it's
way,
before she sees the magazine
It's
cover.
before the cover comes out.
so it's after
'Cause
she's done the shoot.
She finishes smoking her cigarettes in the exercise, which I thought was funny.
So much smoking.
So much.
by her
And
in
then
this
she goes to buy a new pack of cigarettes, and that's when she sees the cover.
Oh. But yeah, Miranda's power walking style was ridiculous.
It's just insane. It's so good. Like when she was just doing like the double arm. Like
I do think when they nail like slapstick type humor like that, like sometimes it can be like, that's not realistic. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that was realistic, but it seemed so true.
Yeah.
It was just so funny and so like, that was one of my favorite scenes
Oh, it
of
was
the
such
episode.
a good scene. Yeah.
And of course, Charlotte's like stretching all over the place.
Like her
She's-
foot up on the fence.
Yeah.
How would Samantha exercise? Do we know how Samantha exercise? I mean, I feel
sex, baby.
Yeah.
oh, they did such
That's her
a
cardio.
they did such a good
I would
job
sexercise.
showing everyone's personality through their exercise.
Where was she?
I don't know. She was probably hanging out with Spanish Seinfeld.
Yes.
Boom, 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 boom. With
Like maracas.
And then his friend busts in. Energetic.
Hola, Newman.
Hola, Newman. Watch the episode if you haven't. It totally looks like Seinfeld.
It really does.
I thought one thing that was a weird cultural interesting thing is how popular yoga pants are now. That now, like at that, they would have 3 perfectly bright colored Lululemon type yoga pants, and I love those Adidas pants that Charlotte had on. Those should definitely come back because those are solid. But I was like, it's funny that has become such a thing because those worked as perfect workout gear, but now yoga pants the past like 6 or 7 years are such a thing.
Wait, do you mean were they all wearing yoga pants in that scene?
Not really, but in real life now they definitely like that
They would be.
demographic.
And then they would
100%.
throw on like a big sweater and just go to work in yoga pants and
Yeah.
a big sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I was like, those Adidas pants, I'm like those were the same, style. They're just tight pants. But now that's like what everybody
Yeah.
is always wearing yoga pants, especially on Saturdays and Sundays. Your yoga mat.
Yoga pants, brunch, those tank tops that are like no way rose or yes way rose.
Yeah.
Netflix, tacos, naps, or something.
Yeah,
like
I
one
know.
of those,
It's always-
like-
It's everyone being just
Everything.
like, I don't do it. All I do is fuck around and drink.
That
And
is-
it's like, well, you wouldn't look like that then.
It's like that entire fashion aesthetic is like all I do is drink, but first I do coffee.
yeah.
but first, coffee.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you do cocaine too, because there is something to just. I'll bring up my most New York thing because it is a very New York thing, which is like most places you travel, you can't stay out till 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And it is like it's very realistic that on a Tuesday you're like, oh, I gotta go, and then if you're not careful, you can stay out till some absurd night,
Totally true.
like time in the night that is just not even acceptable in any part of society in the rest of the country.
Totally.
Like, is any other city stay out till 4?
New
in New York,
Orleans.
New Orleans,
New Orleans kind of like never closes.
Yeah, it just never
I
yeah,
feel
stops.
like.
Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas.
Vegas is always like that. Yeah, then I guess Atlantic City too. Like casino cities are maybe like that. But like
Which is a
cities-
bad sign because people should be working here. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think that was a thing. I'm like, I could count on multiple hands how many times you're like, I'll
This
stay
month.
for one more this month. I mean,
I had a 4 o'clock night last night, so I was not feeling my best this morning. I was,
and you're not a big 4 a.m.
I'm not
night
a big
guy.
4 a.m. night guy. I'm usually circling the wagons at around like midnight, but sometimes you got to go out and have a little fun. You got to tie one off.
You miss your photo shoot this morning?
I did miss my photo shoot this morning.
Wait, did you miss it or did you show up an hour late?
I showed up an hour late and I had
no.
decaf coffee
Oh,
and I
gosh.
looked
Were you
like
smoking?
absolute garbage.
Oh.
Was there time for makeup?
There was no time
Oh,
for
no.
Wait,
makeup.
was your buddy Danford's boyfriend? Was he
Danford?
your friend Danford? Yeah.
Dan Ford.
My name's Dan Ford and my boyfriend here is a total jerk. And he's producing the shoot. Yeah, well, actually, I mean, we said this, but like the way we came up with this podcast was one of those nights for all of us. It was a weeknight. We were all out till like 4 a.m. We almost got our bikes stolen.
Yeah, we have pictures of that night, and we look like we should be on the cover of New York Magazine.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Could you imagine if you had a magazine cover page of your picture after some of your 4
Oh my
a.m.
gosh.
nights?
Jesus Christ.
Just like how awful you look and puffy and horrible. It would be the worst.
There's times when I've had those nights and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, ugh, like I wonder what if I always look like this for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like what if your face the bags never go away and you're just like I can't do that again. And then by noon you're just like, what's everyone doing tonight?
How do you think Sean Penn feels? That's his entire life. He looks like that and he smokes and is angry.
But he still had found time to film Milk. Which is
he's been in some fantastic movies.
So I want to talk about all the different fakes that were going on.
Okay.
Because there were quite a few fakes. There was Miranda's fake. She was obviously faking the orgasm so she wouldn't be alone with Josh.
Mm-hmm.
There was Charlotte, who was faking to be in love or want a relationship with the guy that would fix all of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What was Samantha was faking just interest in a guy that wanted to have. Like,
no, he was faking.
He was faking.
He was
That guy
faking her.
She was like swooning.
Yeah.
And Carrie's fake was that she was. What was hers?
She's like she was happy that she was single.
Yeah.
Okay. So out of all those, which ones do you think is the worst or most what is the worst one to fake?
In real life.
Yeah.
I think what the guy did was pretty egregious.
To Samantha?
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious.
She said,
though.
Carrie said that
That's
he
standard. No,
he was faking. He was faking the future to get what he wanted in the present.
Yeah.
I think you not just. I think guys do that all the time.
I am justifying it.
I'm just justifying it. But I think the standing her up at a restaurant was like extra
That was
mean.
douchey.
That was douchey. It's standing everybody was not fun.
No.
Yeah, and then she stood up the Pakistani busboy pretty hard.
She did-
Slipped him a 20.
She
Come on
slipped him
now.
a 20.
Okay.
That felt weird. She was like, this happened in the episode when Miranda, the threesome episode, when Miranda goes to like meet this couple to be like, will you threesome with me? And then they're like, we would love to. And they're like very sweet about it and very nervous. You can tell they're like, I think this is what we want to do. And then I'll be back.
And
she leaves.
Yeah.
And Samantha, at this point, it was like Carrie's voiceover was like, and in her mind. But Samantha makes the decision and just doesn't say another word to the guy, which was so weird because I was like, the viewers understood what was happening, but the Pakistani guy was just like, if you take me home, you won't be alone. And then she just looked at him for a solid 45 seconds and didn't say a word and walked off.
Well, she
Came
shakes
back,
her
put
head
money in
no.
his hand, and then walked off. I just think she could have been like, that's very nice of you. I need to go.
Yeah. No,
Thanks
you're
for
right.
the bread.
I
and the
would say-
water.
Thank you for the bread and the water and cleaning up that wine that I spilled.
I would say, and this is part of the Sex and the City world that we've walked into and heard about and read about, that it's like major issue with diversity. And it is funny that it's like, okay, it was weird that they said like they used character and said Pakistani.
Yes.
To just be like, ugh, we'll never fuck a guy like that. That's how
Yeah.
that came off to me.
Totally.
And it didn't have to be that, but the way that it played, and it stands out when it's like, oh, okay, everyone says there's not diversity, there's the character, and just the way that she did it, it was like, I don't know, you could have just said busboy,
Right.
like maybe the rewrite now, it's like leave it all the same, but maybe just say busboy. Also, why not just fuck him? You fucked the doorman, the Irish doorman from earlier.
Yeah, but he's white.
That's
Yeah,
true, it was white.
exactly. But I do think I would say what he did seemed the worst because he treated her the most poorly. He was like, "You're going to stay in my place in the Hamptons," then just totally ditched her.
Yeah, he did. In one night, he seemed to get out a lot of like life planning promises in one night, and then he just like never saw her again.
I'm trying to think if I've done that before. I mean, I think we've all done
You've
it.
never been to a restaurant that nice.
But I'm
You don't have a
wondering-
house in the Hamptons.
I'm trying to think if I've ever lied and told a girl that I had a house in the Hamptons.
Have you ever done the stand up before though?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I've been stood up once, but it was like they just kept on moving the time, and then finally like, I'm leaving. I told you about that.
Yeah.
And then Shanae's friend said she listens to the podcast. It's Shanae's friend
Oh,
messaged her, and she's married now.
wow.
I wonder if she listened to it. I
I
forget.
wonder if she's listening right now.
Are you listening right now? If you are, message. You know,
listening right now,
you know your name.
Pause the podcast. Text Kevin.
Text Kevin.
and then listen.
Put it
to
on
us.
our Instagram. Can we do another trivia question?
Yeah, we can.
Can we do a medium
Oh. Okay.
hard, in between medium and hard trivia
right.
question?
If you need a second to think, I can interject something. real quick.
Yeah. Do that.
I did, because you talked about Kevin. You brought up some sort of the yoga pants thing. One thing that I thought was interesting about this is that Carrie's choice of wearing a bucket hat through half the episode. There was that like kind of denim bucket hat that looked like. Remember the company 555 Soul?
Yes,
it
of
looked
course.
like a 555 Soul bucket hat. I don't think it was. I love a good hat. I really do.
I
do.
think everyone kind of looks good in a bucket hat.
I feel they were the best.
My
at the
head's
beach.
way too big. For
You got to get a bigger
you
bucket.
rock a bucket
You
hat.
got to get a bigger
I don't
bucket.
think they make them that big.
You need to wear just an actual
We're
bucket.
going to need a bigger bucket.
We're gonna need a bigger bucket.
I literally just have to put a sand pail on my head. I want to get a bucket hat.
A wash tub.
Yes.
Okay, so for the trivia, again, it could be any episode because this is for the listener.
Yeah,
of course.
Of
Okay.
course.
So here's my trivia question.
And we have some of the
most integer.
integer. Yes.
The best integers.
Okay, so in the episode in season 4 called "The Good Fight," what designer outfit does Aiden want Carrie to throw away?
Oh,
Wow.
what designer outfit?
Should we reveal the answer to that at the end of this episode?
Sure.
I would like to
Whatever you
do.
guys
I would
wanna
like to
do.
do a really hard trivia question at the end of the episode.
Okay, so
Okay,
and then
really
leave
hard.
it open ended
Oh.
and see if anyone can get it on
Really?
Instagram or
Okay.
social media.
Okay. So then you want to answer that one now?
Well, let's just like let the listeners think about it for a
Think about
second
it.
or two.
And don't Google it. Don't be a fucking
Don't Google
loser.
it. We can circle back and talk about Miranda's power walking techniques just a little bit more.
Go on a walk right now. Tell your boss you got to go on a walk.
A
Tell
power
him,
walk.
Tell him your kid's sick. Go power
Use your
walk.
arms.
Use your arms.
Flail.
like
Flail
Cynthia.
around, and then come back and answer the question.
All right, so Bradley Cooper.
I mean, that was nuts.
In his television debut.
Fantastic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, there's like
Was he in movies before that?
I don't know.
we would have to look at when his movie debut
Yeah.
was Wet
Wedding
Hot American
Crashers?
Summer.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was his first job out of school. So this may have been
4.
I don't know.
What Hot was like what 2001?
yeah. So I
this
think this was
episode was
before.
like 99 or something because it's
I'm gonna
Season two,
fact
yeah.
check this because I want to see if he was in something like a TV movie or
I'm sure he was
something
in
like
Law
that.
and Order or something. He was and he was in the Stella
Oh, Stella. Really? Stella Shorts was his first thing?
we'll check on that.
We'll check on this.
I think
Amazing.
it was crazy seeing him because now he's movie star A-list guy. But he even for his first TV thing, you see that you're just like, yeah, you're A-list attractive. You know, like he didn't look like a dork back then that's like, oh, we got to butter him up and like look
Yeah.
great. Like even Chris Pratt, like in Parks and Rec, it's like you're a handsome guy, and now he's in Jurassic Park. You're like,
Back
oh, yeah,
then
you're-
he was called Chris Fat.
yeah.
He was chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubbier guy.
But Bradley Cooper looked like he was at the top of the
yeah.
acting food chain even then.
It's a good looking dude.
I just looked on IMDb. First ever credit, Sex and the City.
Wow.
3 credits later,
Wet Hot American
Wet Hot
Summer?
American Summer. And then our producer, Jeremy, just said that he was also in the Stella Shorts, which was the Wet Hot guys, like their internet videos.
Well, listen, if Bradley, if you're listening, come on the podcast
Out
You
here.
wanna chat.
We'll chat about.
We love you in Limitless.
All right,
Just
I want
come on.
I want to. We've had enough time for people to try to figure out the trivia question. What is the answer?
so the designer is Roberto Cavalli.
Roberto Cavalli.
Oh, I was gonna guess Massimo.
Stussy.
Target. Okay.
555 Soul.
Moschino.
While we have, there's 2 things I want to talk about: faking the future. Faking the future
To get the present.
to get the present, but also the faking the orgasm thing because it's pretty, pretty like I don't know. It's a trope that's talked about plenty in television and culture. And the way that they went about this was I liked when she decided like, okay, I'm going to teach you, but it was like, it's sort of weird to just be like, yeah, this, like finally when she told him, like she wasn't honest. It's like, you've been faking it the whole time. So why is that necessarily the guy's fault?
Right.
Also,
Because you've been faking it this whole time and then complain and be like, guys never know. It's like, well, yeah, you got to fucking explain to him that
Right.
you've been off on the clitoris.
I also thought it was also total sidebar, but like when they were walking around, when she first reveals that she's faking it.
Total sidebar, but what's a clitoris?
Total sidebar. But what is this? Is that what? I don't understand. Is it a transformer? What is it? No, when they're walking around the reservoir and she reveals that she's been faking it with this guy. is her hair extra red? Did she go through a real bright dye job for season 2?
Season 2 is
Okay.
much more red.
Much more red. Okay, so then one thing I thought was interesting was when they start talking about her faking it, they're watching some like softcore porn on TV, and the woman immediately is like, and she's like, see, guys watch that, and then they think once they're in there, like it's good. And I kind of felt like this show being 20 years ago, there was a thing where, because I've read so many things about like Sex and the City 20th anniversary, I was like, was that like a monumental thing to be like, everyone's used to watching TV when this happens, and then like there's finally a show that speaks out that's like, no, TV sex is like lying about how to please women.
Yeah. I mean, the show is groundbreaking in its depictions of female sexuality and what they talked about. And I don't know. I mean, when I first watched it, I was like, what's an orgasm? Like I was 12 years old.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, so you were saying you think
I think
so
that
what
she did the
happened-
right thing by explaining to him, and clearly his character is not great either, because at the end, finally, when she does fake come, he's just like, "Go me," or what's he say?
He's
He's like, I'm the man.
I'm the man.
I thought he was really fun. He did a really good job.
Yeah, he was really fun.
Fiercing.
He
Yeah,
did a
he's a
great
good
job.
actor.
Not the actor. I mean, the character did a great job making her come. No, he was a great actor.
And then when she the last one when she faked it, it was like over the top
That was so over
ridiculous.
the top.
which
Yeah,
is
it's
so
so
funny.
like
It's so,
cringeworthy.
So then he felt like he really did the job. But there's the thing where she starts explaining it, and I thought this was like good character depth, where he was like, I know how it works, and then he was like, okay. And then somehow they step back and he's like, okay, teach me.
Yeah.
And that seemed like it was going to be on like a good track. It also kind of weirdly harkens back to when Samantha was trying to teach her small penis boyfriend how to have sex with her.
James.
James with a tiny weenie.
James with a little Twinkie.
Now you kind of stepped back and touched your chest when we brought up James. Do you have a special spot in your heart for James?
I mean, because it's the first time you really see Samantha like fall for a guy, and
Oh, okay.
you know.
Mm.
But I just thought that was so funny when they finally broke up, and he's like, "Do you ever think your vagina's too big?"
Oh yeah.
Like he was like this awesome boyfriend
Right.
up until that point, and like
Yeah.
as soon as you mention anything about the dick, he's like, "Well, fuck you, bitch," and like walks out. So
Oh man.
he was. I liked him up until that point.
Right.
This is a soft spot. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It was a soft spot.
literal soft spot.
Little soft, a tiny little soft spot. It was like a belly button.
As someone who's an expert of Sex and the City, I would love to hear some of your favorites. Do you have a favorite boyfriend? Do you have a favorite character in the show? Do you have a character that you particularly identify with? You said when you were 12, you had a shirt that says that you were a Carrie.
I had a
but
shirt that said "I'm a Carrie."
I'm a Carrie. Do you still identify as a Carrie?
Yes and no. When I was younger, like everyone wanted to be Carrie.
Sure.
She was the star, and
Yeah.
she had the great shoes and the cool job, and like everyone wanted their Mr. Big. And you know, back then it was like, oh, ew, no one wants to be Miranda. Like if you called someone a Miranda, it was an insult.
Right.
But now like Miranda's having a resurgence, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we should all be Mirandas.
Right.
Miranda's like the baddest bitch. Personally, I think I'm a mix of all of the ladies except Charlotte.
Okay.
I'm not a Charlotte. But as far as boyfriend goes, I'm very partial. And again, like I know you guys haven't gotten there yet,
Yeah.
but I'm really partial to Steve,
That's what everyone says.
and I'm really partial to Harry.
Steve Tuck.
He's going to do a spin-off podcast that's just about Steve.
Oh my
once it
God,
comes
can I
out.
be on that
not even-
podcast?
Yeah, Steve Tuck.
It's not a spin-off podcast.
It's going to be a part
section.
of a part of this
section.
podcast.
It's a small section of this.
I
podcast.
love Steve and I love Harry.
I
Can
don't
you
know
give us the best Steve fact that you know? This will be our first ever Steve Talk.
Is he the one that owns the bar?
Cue the music.
Cue the music.
He's a bartender.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Steve. Okay.
Steve Talk. Hey, everybody, it's John Sieber. Welcome to Steve Talk. We're here with our first guest, Felicia Pollack.
Hi.
Could you please tell us a Steve fact?
God.
Steve.
He's
fact.
a huge New York Knicks fan.
Big New York Knicks fan. You
Wow.
heard it here first.
Yeah.
Signing off of Steve Talk.
Wow.
So
First
we
episode of
went
Steve
to a Cynthia Nixon event a few days ago that was at Steve's bar.
At Scout?
Talk. O'Neill's. Well, it's called
O'Neill's?
Scout in the show.
It's called
but
Scout in the show. It's O'Neill's.
in real
Okay.
life.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a pretty nice bar actually.
Mhm.
It's got an amazing carved wood ceiling. Very
Yeah,
cool.
it was Is it a dive bar in the show? Okay,
No.
because it looked like I always figured it'd be a dive bar, but you went in, it was very classy,
the cool,
very dark
classy
wood.
Irish bar. Kind of Irish.
So who are the guys in this that Was there any positive? What do you think of the actor guy? Out of those guys, let's say you don't know their fault, that they're not going to ditch you. So it's a club owner that owns a place in the Hamptons.
Spanish Seinfeld.
Spanish Seinfeld.
Spanish
We refer to
Seinfeld.
him as Spanish Jerry.
Yeti.
Yeti.
And the actor who does like the odd jobs around New York, that's like a little older, that was a pretty recognizable person in New York. And then who was
Josh.
or the ophthalmologist who is into him, thinks he can give girls orgasms.
And Cooper and B Coop.
And B Coops.
Wait, what was it? Who do I think?
Who would you most want to go on a date with or just date?
The ophthalmologist.
Really?
Yeah.
Miranda's guy.
Because he's a doctor?
Yeah, I'm a Jewish girl. I want a doctor.
Oh, man. All right.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah.
Who would you most
Who
want
would
to
you
go
most
on a date with out of those four?
Who was I most fearful of being? The actor who's just 40s and just being like, I hate.
We've brought you here for a reason.
Yeah.
We need to talk to you.
But I
need to
mean,
talk about
I
Kevin.
also would love to have a little romp with Kristen Davis. So
Yeah, you
or
do
Charlotte.
have a-
Sorry,
you do have a Charlotte thing.
I do have a Charlotte thing, but her character constantly like lowers her on the, because it is funny. I feel like she's the least consistent character because they know that she'd be boring, because it's sort of like, Charlotte, did you swear? And then she's like, I'm going to have this guy fix my sink and then I'm going to fuck him. Like, that is a pretty not Charlotte move. So I feel like they let her off the chain in normal ways. And then other times they write her into being like super uptight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was
I
that
mean,
a Charlotte move to just be like, ooh, I'm going to sleep with them?
You know, in a weird way though, Charlotte seems very accurate and believable in New York City, because she maybe it's just that type of girl, but she seems very much like, I'm a career girl. I'm kind of uptight, but I'm also like want to date guys. I want to get married. I want like it feels like, I mean, I guess they're all types, but there's nothing fantastical about her. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've met like tons of Charlotte.
Oh yeah.
Also, Charlotte kind of, I don't know why. Maybe it's because she lives on the Upper West Side. For some reason, she reminds me of the store West Elm.
Charlotte does not live on the Upper West Side.
Where
She
she
doesn't?
live?
Where's she live?
Well, in the beginning of the series, she lives in the West Village.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Taste
Lives
that.
on
Seem
West
like it.
4th and
Taste that,
that should have been
Corey.
the fucking
Oh,
trivia
man,
question.
that's-
God
What is it?
damn
West 4th and what?
West 4th and Bank.
Oh,
Okay.
what a
Oh,
beautiful
that's right. But
street.
wait, so she lives. Oh, yeah, because when Capote Duncan takes
Exactly.
a cab down, he gets
We
off
should
at
have
Club
Capote
Chaos.
Duncan talk. I
Good
think.
God, you don't understand
man.
how much we want that.
On
Duncan talk.
Can you get in touch with him?
Capote Duncan.
I
Or the
messaged him on
actor
Instagram.
Jeffrey Nordlane.
Sure, I could try with my resources.
Listen,
We love Duncan.
you do that, I'll slip you a 20 like you're a Pakistani busboy.
Why do I have to be a Pakistani busboy? Why can't I just be a busboy?
He just was. Listen. Darren Starr just noticed that detail. He's a scribe. What else is he gonna do?
Calls it like he sees it. Yeah, so she lives in the West Village, and then she will eventually go to the Upper East.
Okay, Upper East.
She seems like she's meant for the Upper East Side.
Yes.
Does
very.
anyone live on the Upper West?
Miranda.
Miranda.
Oh.
Where does Samantha live?
Samantha, I think, started off living on the Upper East and then moves to the meatpacking district.
Oh.
Well, at least New York, them getting together so much. I mean, all those different neighborhoods.
I know. That would never work today. It's like Uber surging. I can't come to your neighborhood.
Exactly.
Sorry.
I know.
Totally
Now
true.
it's like if you have a rich friend, it's just like, oh my gosh, you live on like Avenue C. I feel
Yeah.
like no one, like the only people I know that live in the West Village pretend like they're roughing it, but they're doing fine.
I don't feel like anyone's roughing it. It's so like
In the West Village.
anytime anyone is asked the New York question of like unlimited amount of money, where would you want to live?
West Village.
And I'm always like West
Every time.
Village. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not. I love New York. West Village is not the coolest neighborhood. There's a lot like cooler thing, and there's a lot of things that like used to be there that are cooler. But I'm like, hands down, would always live there.
Yeah, it's nice.
great.
It's convenient.
Picturesque.
It's still has good bars, good restaurants.
White Horse Taverns there.
White Horse Tavern there.
Mm.
Where
Classic
Dylan
tavern.
Thomas.
Dylan
Thomas died.
Yeah.
And Kerouac got thrown out.
That's where Bob Dylan got his name. His name was Robert Zimmerman, and he changed it to Bob Dylan from Dylan Thomas because he used to play at that bar.
There you go. I was there the other night with your roommate, Kevin, and there were two women getting high in the bar, hitting on a guy, and they were Jersey as hell. Still crazy things going on at that bar.
You know, at that bar, do you know the White Horse Tavern?
Mm-hmm.
You have to be 25 and over to get in.
when I went last week, they've changed it. It says 21 because I think someone got in their case because it used to say 25 for a long time.
Because they were just like, yeah, we don't want annoying people here.
Yeah, I freaking love that. Great bar. Tortilla Flats is in the West Village.
Which Tortilla Flats is
That's
on
in the
Sex and the
show,
City
right?
a bunch.
Yeah.
It is at least one time because I used to point that out on my Sex and the City tours.
All right. Do you know what episode it's featured in?
No.
Also, tell her what was happening when you were taking those, when you were giving those tours.
I was just never good. I'd never seen an episode, but I did Sex and the City
You
tours.
faked it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
And with that, let's move to our Cosmo scale. That was a perfect bridge.
Oh my
So
gosh.
the last thing we do on the show is we go around the circle and we rate the episode from 1 to 5 Cosmos.
Mhm.
5 being the best episode you've ever seen, 1 being awful. You don't have to go first. Does
Okay.
anyone want to volunteer to go first?
I'll go first. I'm giving this one 4 Cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the highest rating I've done. Maybe. I think it
Wow.
had comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It had drama.
Mm-hmm.
Had it. Kevin mentioned this after we watched it. It was like it felt longer because I think the writing was so tight. There was a lot put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It also had Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
It had great celebrity sightings. It also, I think, out of the things we've seen, was maybe the most New York episode.
Yeah.
It just felt like
Totally.
you could spot places that felt New York. It wasn't like, oh, that would never happen. It felt like, you know, they
Well,
had
that cover story is something that should totally have been in New York Magazine.
Totally.
And before like this world became a garbage fire. Like that is definitely like a cover story. And one of my favorite things about this episode is the sub headline. I don't know if you guys noticed on the cover where it's a single and fabulous question mark. The headline is "Eat, Drink, and Never Be Married," which I think is just like
Yeah.
but
like
that-
so good.
That's totally like a New York Magazine
Totally.
bio piece or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to copy you. I'm going to go with a 4. I think every character gets a good amount of screen time. They make interesting stories. I like how sometimes the one of the girls was a victim of being faked, and sometimes they were the ones faking. And I love the double fake with Charlotte. I love what Carrie said, that in a different life they could have spent or in a different scenario they could have spent a happy life with one another, and that's very true. I don't know. Great episode. Funny. Like you said, all the things you said. 4 Cosmos.
4 Cosmos. I'm gonna say 4 Cosmos as well.
Wow.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of synergy happening. Season 2 has really not kicked off in a strong way for me so far. I'm enjoying watching them, but this was the first one that I was like super solid. Even the one time they looked at they did the looking at the camera, I feel like they nailed it with the guy
Yeah.
doing the sign
I
language.
hate that trope.
Oh, them looking at the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know it's on its way out.
Yeah.
but
That
this
goes
was,
away. Thank God.
This was a pretty good joke that she's like her faking it. She's
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Understand sign language.
but I thought, yeah, I just thought it was good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was realistic. I thought there was actual depth to the characters of Samantha's moment and Carrie like leaving by being like, I was going to do this for my own validation and I'm going to leave. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was funny. You know, some of those newsstands that just have magazines that are there from 6 years ago. I just imagine if there were certain ones, if that just stayed up at some newsstand like forever. Because there's
like in
something
like in the back glass at the newsstand
Yeah.
in West Fourth.
yeah, I was just like feeling bad for being like, oh,
I hope that comes back in like season 6.
yeah.
It's just
funny.
there still.
I feel like it's not, but it'd be amazing.
It would be fun.
Turtle doesn't come back. There's no way that magazine's
Turtle.
coming back.
I don't. Sorry.
Happy World Turtle Day. We celebrated that on
Aw.
Instagram.
Nice.
It was real turtles, but we just put up pictures of turtle.
Bernie Turtletail.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this episode a solid 3.5 Cosmos.
Oh.
I think that's pretty good for someone who's
Hey.
seen the whole series.
Yeah.
Thank you for not faking it and saying
No,
4.
no, 3.5. I think because it's the first time because, it's like early in the second season. Like, yeah, the show, the women doing what they want to do and they're single and they're having fun and like everyone should have this life. And it's the first time where they're kind of like introspective and it's like, oh, is this really like, are we really happy? Is this something that we want to pursue? Like, it's funny because like the show's 20 years old and like if you were single, at 32, it was like, you're an old maid.
Right.
And now it's like, that's normal,
Yeah.
you know?
course.
I have friends that are like younger than me that are married. I'm like, ew, what's wrong with you? So times
Cool.
have changed.
What would you say felt like the least New York moment in that? If there was something that just rang super fake, not from who grew up here
Yeah.
and has lived here your whole life, that was just like, all right, that's not true. That was fake. Darren, good.
I I don't know any salsa clubs. Really. Maybe I'm just not looking hard enough, but
Yeah, I wonder.
I don't either.
Certainly not. Certainly not people like Samantha and Carrie and them going to those.
There's
I
a
haven't heard. That's
salsa
true.
dance place on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. And it looks nothing like the club they were in.
Yeah.
It's not like a fun club like that. It's just like where you go take dance lessons.
yeah,
I wonder if some of those like closed up.
maybe.
That maybe it was more popular like 20 years.
Probably because
Remember-
the owner was hitting on women and standing them up at dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He
Word
lost his
get around.
clientele.
Do you remember when swing dancing was huge for a little bit?
Yeah.
It was probably like that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Before you go, I want the hardest Sex and the City trivia question that you got.
Oh, I had one and it flew out of my head.
Well, if maybe you can get it back, but before you do that, tell us where we can find you on social media and stuff so people can follow you.
Sure. You can follow me on Instagram at by Felicia Pollack.
Oh, yeah.
And you can follow me on Twitter at just Felicia Pollack. I got lazy.
Yeah,
I made
get
the
it.
Twitter account.
Well, thank you. If you ever have another Sex and the City trivia night, maybe we could like do a little like collab.
Oh my God, that would be so fun.
And do you have a question? Can you remember the question? Can you remember a question?
I can come up with one like off the top of my head.
All right.
Okay. What church does Steve's mother belong to? Bringing it back to Steve talk.
Wow.
What church does Steve's mother belong to? If you know the answer, write it on our Instagram.
And borough. I want church name and what borough.
All right.
Wow.
Here's the thing. If you, whoever gets this, we're going to send you
The first person to get it.
The first person to get this, not first person, message us, DM them, or put it. We need to figure out a way to give this to someone, and we'll give you a Sex and the City book.
We have books written by Jennifer Cation Armstrong. She wrote the book Sex and the City and Us. So if you get that right, DM it to us. We'll pick a winner and we will send you a book.
We'll do that. We'll we'll put you in like a lottery, and then we'll do the lottery like live and show everybody who got it.
There we go.
Awesome.
So to get that book, put it in. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Felicia.
Pollack.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. This
Take
was
care.
so fun.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, John Sieber, and Kevin James Doyle. The show is produced by Jeremy L. Balin. For more information on the guys, check out their website at bradshawboys.com, on social media at The Bradshaw Boys, and if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.